My name is Tom, and I'm here today to talk to you about the right to bear arms and the Second Amendment in particular. And it's a really debated topic in our society, especially now with the recent terrible instances with mass shootings and whatnot. But what people tend to forget is that the Second Amendment was a law created by the founding fathers, and the founding fathers, I think they kind of knew what they were talking about with regards to the most issues in this country. And if you actually look back at when we first started to implement the Second Amendment into existence, it wasn't an American value, or it wasn't traditionally American. In fact, the English citizens had the right to bear arms, and the founding fathers knew that they had the right to bear arms. But the only exception was that these people, um, the Parliament had the right to take guns away or do what they felt was necessary to keep the people who had the right to bear arms in check. And the problem with this that the federal government that our founding fathers saw is that um, if the government has a check on the personal firearms of people, then they're gonna have they have control over the military plus the people, which is just basically an autocratic government, or like just an you know what I mean, a communist dictatorship, a fascist dictatorship. And the first thing Hitler did when he came to power was take all the guns away from Jews. So it's basically, if you look back, the most dangerous aspect of it is gun control, taking away guns from citizens, and especially in our society, like we we've been using guns for such a long period of time that at this point there's no reason that we should take away our right to use guns because of a few selfless selfish acts driven by crazy people. Or you know, if we buy into the hysteria of the gun control debate, and we start to see and people can argue that oh well, the Second Amendment is old, there's no reason that we should be following the Second Amendment. Well, I would just think about how smart these founding fathers were, and they looked into every aspect of what could be detrimental to a society. No representation out, no taxation without representation. They knew what was going on, what the issues were in the world, and they're still relevant in today's society. If you look at the Second Amendment, it basically states that the citizens have the right to bear arms and participate in a well-regulated military. Now, the Constitution, I think, was invented for a purpose of being manipulated, not manipulated, but tweaked or fixed to the needs of society. Obviously, times change, technologies change. Founding fathers knew this, and they knew that there was going to be room for people to interpret their policies in different ways. So I think in today's society, we might not have what we technically call a militia, but if all citizens know how to use guns, know the right way to use guns, and can protect themselves using their guns, not only can we protect ourselves from criminals and crazy people doing acts of violence, we can also protect ourselves from the power of the central government. It's just a check and balance on the government, just how the different branches of government check each other. This is our check. This is people's check on the government, and not only does it check the government, it checks up on criminals and terrorists. Terrorists are a real threat, and if anybody says they're not, then they're wrong. So I think that we just need to keep in mind that our founding fathers were geniuses. They knew the Second Amendment would work, and there was a reason why they established it. And if we continue to push for gun control, I think you're going to see some personal liberties being stomped on that people aren't going to be too happy about.